Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to Game Show Talking Fun. I'm Scott Goldiner, joined once again by David. David, welcome.
Hey Scott, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks since we all got together.
Yes, it
So,
has.
yeah, so U.S. winning the FIFA Women's World Cup and everything. That was something, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. The
Yeah,
sad part is the U.S. men lost the Gold Cup 1-0 in Mexico.
right. No, it was at Soldier Field in
Oh,
Chicago,
okay.
home of the double doinker.
Hey,
If you remember that from the playoffs this past year, where the Eagles iced the Chicago's kicker and he double doinked it off of the crossbar.
I remember.
Yep. So, and then of course we had the two games in London this year for the Yankees and the Red Sox, and Yankees. It was a home run fest with that.
Yeah,
But
Wembley
any
Stadium is not a. It's not equipped to deal with baseball.
nah, I would say more or less cricket or I think it's mainly a soccer field, right?
Yes, Wembley Stadium is a soccer and a football field.
So that's where the anyway. Moving on. That's I think the only thing we've had brought up for Smash or Trash today. With that, but a topic today is something one of our good friends who isn't here, who's always good at fixing these things. It's called "Let's Fix the Loopholes" and everything. So today we're going to be looking at like the rules for some of the newer game shows that came out, like Spin the Wheel, and how we would fix it up and everything. I'm using that because I think that's the one we kind of consensused on when we talked about it last time with it, Dave, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a. Well, I guess you could say spin the wheel has some major holes that's got to be closed.
Right. So I'll bring up the. Let's see. We're doing that. So, for those of you who are not familiar, Spin the Wheel premiered 3 weeks ago on Fox on Thursday nights, and it's essentially its counterpart to the game show The Wall.
That it has. But
Yeah.
look at it is. I like you said last time we were together. I don't know any producer that has pulled this kind of. I don't know if you could call it stunt.
Hmm.
Scott, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
And we have Woj back. Woj, welcome back.
Yes. As you can hear by the dial tone in the background, things are happening around here, technical wise.
Yeah. So we're gonna start. I think we're gonna today's mainly episode is we're gonna try to fix up the loophole with spin the wheel today and everything, because we were talking about that
Last time.
last time when we all got together. So I pulled up the rules for the game and everything.
Go ahead.
So here's how the rules state. The first two rounds, they get totally they get 16 spins in 4 rounds, grouped in four in 4 spins each in each round. So correct answer adds money to their money on the wedge that they land on. A wrong answer takes money away, just like on the wall. In the second round, they kind of have like that guardian angel and everything for it. So they have a friend or a family member that joins their team and is put in control of a button that it's basically like a double amount.
That's right.
All right. So it doubles the amount. In round 3, it's called Build the Wheel, where each correct answer switches up 4 low value wedges from $1 to $1,000 to being a high value to a quarter to $2 million, while wrong answers turn one of the 4 wedges back to 0, depending on which value of the value of the amount of the question. But they get to choose with that. Then they spin the wheel and they get. This is the round I think we need to work on. I think the third round and the overall premise of the show and everything.
Well, I'd say that the 4th round needs improving as well.
Right. So let's start with the wheel itself. Now, they're just touching the wheel. They're not actually spinning it. Like if you go on The Price is Right and you spin the wheel and The Price is Right. You know, you have the grab holds and you spin it.
You actually have to spin this thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
On The Price is Right.
Yeah, the wheels on The Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune are dictated by the laws of gravity.
Right.
But on this show, it's only the ball that runs by gravity.
Right. And that's the same thing that they did on the Big Spin too, if you remember.
Yeah, the Big Spin, they actually did spin the wheel by hand, not by some kind of motion sensor that activated it.
Right. Now, what do we know about the wheel? Is that thing completely random?
Well, it looks like there's a point where they start spinning the wheel, and then once the ball gets dropped there, that's when it starts to slow down.
Right.
The way the wheel spins may be random, but the ball is just goes wherever gravity takes it.
Right. And it's got to remain in the slot for I think 5 seconds is the rule.
Yeah, just like on the Big Spin.
Right. So so let's begin with the overall premise of the show. It's a 40-foot wheel. It's a 40-foot wheel with 48 wedges.
Spaces.
Yeah. So how do we let's start? Let's take this round by round. Let's go with the first round and everything. Is there anything wrong with the first 2 rounds? Answer the question. If you get it right, you spin the. Answer the question whether you get it right or you get it wrong determines whether you go plus or you go minus on a question.
I think there's nothing wrong with the first round. I think the first round is the best round for its simplicity.
Right. David, what about you?
Well, I agree with Woj here.
Okay. Now, in round 2, you have kind of like that guardian angel that comes into play from round 2 onward. And they are hidden behind a screen, so they can't see what the player on stage is doing with answering the questions. So basically, they're still hearing the question, but they have the right to double or not to double the question to double the value of that wedge
and
they land on.
And they have to press the button before the wheel stops. But it's after they answer the question.
Right. So anything wrong with that is still correct answer adds an incorrect answer removes.
I mean, it's
That's the way it should be.
Right. The issue here is in round 2, is in round 3, and in round 4 with it. So
well, I mean, if I may add for round 2, I mean, the fact that they're letting this family member have a big role in potentially doubling and adding more money or losing more money, I would just have to hope that the guardian angel is good with trivia themselves, because otherwise, if they're just, picking some random family member who's just going to let their emotions dictate their actions, and also depending on the difficulty of the questions, I mean, it has potential to really backfire badly.
right. So right, I would want somebody who knows me and who kind of knows how I know trivia and everything.
Or that person should be in the game from the very start, like on the wall.
Right, where they help out with the first couple questions and everything.
Yeah, considering it's only 2 of the 4 rounds that the guardian angel is involved in the game.
Right. Now on the wall, they're involved throughout the whole game.
Yeah. One has to make the decisions, the other has to answer the questions.
Do you think that's how it should be here on Spin the Wheel?
Now, if you did that, then you pretty much have a clone of the wall just for the wheel.
Considering that both shows have the same creator, Andrew Glassman, I mean, I'm guessing that he just wanted to make enough differences so that he wouldn't get that accusation.
Right. Or
the only difference is that he's teamed up with another superstar, in this case, Justin Timberlake, for Spin the Wheel, like he did with LeBron James on the wall.
Right. And note on the wall got is postponed again. And everything. So
yeah,
with
I heard that.
Yeah. So now we get to round 3, the build the wheel round. So from here on out, according to this, so from here on out, the contestants get to dictate how the wheel is going to look for the remainder of the game. There were 4 questions in this round, ranging from $250,000 to $2 million. So the way that these questions work is, if you get the question right, you can choose how to distribute the money for that between one space or distribute it between all 4 spaces. And the 4 spaces that you're changing are the $1 to $1,000. With that, while a wrong answer turns 1 to 4 wedges to a back to 0, depending on which value the contestant chooses to play for on each spin. Now, the good thing about that is they get to choose the value for that question. I think in all honesty, that is fair for the game.
Yeah, you're basically going on just the first few words in the question, a la show me the money.
Right. Like in Twisters.
Yeah, or your number's up, or sports on tap.
Right. Does that play into how much that value for that question should be worth, or should that continue to stay as is?
And I think that just to reduce the amount of complexity, I think they should just go ask the questions in order from 250 to 2 million. That way, because I have to admit, on the first episode, it took me a while to understand that. I think it would just be easier for any first-time viewer to just have them go from 250 to 2 million, and then really have the strategy just be to split it from there, because you're basically going on a hunch at that point in terms of how to split it. Since if you split it up, you have more of a chance of getting more money, as opposed. I mean, it's a risk reward scenario.
Right.
But also
But
with these back to zero wedges, it's again something else that again there's only been 2 aired episodes, so it's again depending on where you are in the show. Dax, the host, made it sound like the back to zero wedges end the game.
It ends the game in the 4th round and everything.
And in the
If you
third
land
round,
on back to zero, the game is over, right?
Yeah, in round 4. Now, what
In
I
round-
would do.
but in
Go
round
ahead, Roy.
3, it basically serves as a bankrupt or a whammy.
Okay.
If elected, I will raise your taxes.
And yeah, they should have a bless this mess whammy for just so Dax can react to it.
Yep. Anyway, so my issue with round 3 is the back to zeros for getting the question wrong.
Right.
That is my issue with it, and I'm sure, well, you probably agree with it too, correct?
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair penalty just for getting the question wrong, since it really just it puts danger on the wheel as basically the necessary penalty, and I think it's a much fairer penalty for this show than as opposed to what you have on the wall, where whether or not if you get the question right or wrong, you have to drop the red balls.
Right. My solution to that would be get the 250, get the $250,000 question wrong. It becomes a back to zero. All right. Get the $500,000 question wrong. It's 1 back to zero, and lose 25% of the bank.
Oh, I see what you mean. Basically, just so they wouldn't have a better chance of just keep being able to sustain some kind of bank as opposed to just having to restart from the beginning.
Right. Get the $1,000,000 question wrong. It's 1 back to zero, 25%, and 50% of the bank. Get the $2 million question wrong, back to zero, minus 25, minus 50, minus 75.
Yeah, especially considering that once you get to the 4th round, more back to zero spaces are added no matter what happens.
Right. So with that, Woj, let me hear your take on that. You pick a question, you get it wrong. Should it always be the number of back to zeros for that question, or should there be something that takes away from the player's bank that is put into those 4 spaces?
Again, this something from the player's bank, as in the value of the question, they take away 250 and put it on the wheel.
Either something like that, or like what I suggested, where they lose a percentage of their bank and everything.
Well, again, that first option, of losing their money and putting it back on the wheel, considering that they could just eventually get it back, it's kind of just a wash there. It wouldn't really add or lose anything. I mean, your other suggestion of just the back to zero and the reduced money, I think that it's doable, considering, and it would make it easier to really build up your bank, considering the amount of back to zeros that are added in the final round.
Right. So, David, what about you? Let's hear your opinion on that. Let's what should be the risk reward, more or less on the risk side, for getting the questions wrong in round 3?
Well, I would say if it ain't, in my opinion, keep doing what you've done throughout the game up to this point. Just increase the value of the wedges and keep spinning the wheel.
Right. But
That's just what I would say. Hang on, if you get the question wrong, the value of the spin is deducted from your account.
Right. Do you still consider round 3 to build the wheel the way you want it to be?
No, I would not.
So you're saying eliminate the spaces that are 1 to 1,000, the 4 spaces, the 4 groups on the wheel that you're allowed to build, and just have them be whatever random money amounts, and then have them spin the wheel, get the question right, it adds, get the question wrong, it still deducts.
Right. That's what I would do.
Interesting. Now, I think also with that, if they really wanted to be, pardon my French, if they wanted to pull like what Harry Freeman does on Wheel of Fortune when they know that they're running low on the budget, another suggestion would be in round 3, you spin the wheel regardless if you get the question right or wrong. But if you get the question wrong, that value that you land on turns into a back to zero. So that space is permanently removed from the game from round 3 and round 4.
So what you're saying is that they would just lose the money for that spin, and then afterwards that space becomes a back to zero?
Yes.
That would work. Now that would work.
So kind of like how, yeah. Now, should that be consistent throughout the entire game?
Maybe.
Hey, Carla, welcome to the program.
Hey, Carla, how you doing?
So let's go all the way from round 1 to round 3. I ask Carla a question. Carla gets the question wrong. She spins the wheel. We have lower value amounts on the wheel. Should round 1 be completely void of adding any back to zeros if you get a question wrong?
I'm not sure.
It was for, how do you feel about that, Woj?
Well, considering the fact that in this game you can't go below 0, so
right.
Even in that scenario, I think a back to 0 would actually be beneficial
in round 1.
Yeah, but considering that you're basically just working to build up a bank, and really, it's once the questions start to become superfluous, or really they're just once you just start spinning, once you're just spinning, aiming to add money regardless of the question, that's when the back to zeros become more prevalent and they start to matter more. Because in the first round, you're really not losing much, since there's really not much of a gambling element. So if you're not gambling, then you don't need the back to zero spaces.
So start adding the back to zeros in round 2 upward. Let them build their bankroll in round 1, and then start having it be that risk in round 2 and upward.
No, I think that starting them in round, actually considering if they are in round 2, because I know we keep jumping to round 4, but considering I don't really care for back to zero.
We'll get to round 4 and its flaw in a second with that.
Yeah, but I think if you're just gonna, if the back to zero is just gonna take them back to 0, it's not gonna end the game. Then I think you can start putting them on the wheel in round 2.
You think?
All right.
Okay, so you're saying they can go on the wheel in round 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what about you, Dave? What would you do in this instance with it? Do you start putting the risk reward on right away if they get the question wrong in round 1? Or do you give them the chance to build up the bankroll in round 1, and then in round 2, they miss the question, they spin the wheel, they lose the value of that question, and then it turns into a back to 0? Or...
Well, this is how I would do it.
Okay.
All right, then. And this is for all rounds.
All right.
All right, then. Like I said, spin the wheel. Where the ball lands determines the value of a correct answer. Get it wrong, the value is deducted from your score. And round 1 and 2, to nothing changes. But starting in rounds 3 and 4, any wedge that you land on with a wrong answer changes to a back to 0. I would add one more round, a 5th round that's called, quote, the final spin, which has all the big amounts plus all the back to 0 amounts accumulated. The team can either choose to take that final spin or can choose to walk away with their bank.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
so kind of like the big bet.
Yeah.
Now, for that, how would you have the wheel set up for that final spin?
Okay. The wheel for that final spin is going to have a minimum of $100,000 on it, all the way
Ooh.
up to $5 million.
Okay. Well, we do know that the highest space on the wheel is 3 million.
Well,
So
I've
you would.
changed it to 5.
Okay.
All right. And like I said, a player can choose to either take that final spin, or can walk away.
All right.
But if you take that final spin, you are committed. You are betting your entire bank on the value of the final spin.
Eek.
Now, would you alternate the spaces so you have, like, let's say 100,000 back to 0, 3 million back to 0,
Yes, I would.
or would
Yes, I would.
I like that idea. Coming from someone who works in a casino and everything.
Yeah.
Now, do you still give them a trivia question in this round, or is it just
No, it's like the big bet in the current card charts. Choose to walk away with your bank or bet it all on the last spin.
See, I would do it something like how Jim Perry would do it from Sale. I would say, and I would have both teammates up here, because I would have both players playing from round 2 onward. No guardian angel on
Okay.
this.
All right.
So round 1, round 1 is solo. Round 2 to the big spin is both players doing that. You get to that final spin, and I would probably do something like this. I would show them the wheel, but I would take it one step further with that. I would not limit the game to 16 spins and everything.
Okay.
I would do something like, you get the question, depending on how many questions they get right to how many questions they get wrong, would determine also the values for the value for the wedges and the bit in the final spin, plus the back to zeros that get added to the wheel in addition to that and everything. So in each round, depending on how many questions they get right and or get wrong from the previous round, determine how many back to zeros now get placed on the wheel for the following round and everything. With that, how does that sound?
That's actually that's a little better than my idea.
Woj?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick.
Yeah.
A subject for Smash or Trash that we didn't catch on to until just now because it was just announced. Now we don't normally talk about reality shows on this podcast, but every
No.
once in a while we will when it dramatically affects a competition.
Oh,
This year, Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay's competition reality show, is going to not be filmed in a television studio. It is actually going to be filmed in his restaurant in Las Vegas.
wow.
Nice. Oh, the other thing we forgot to mention for Smash or Trash, executive producer from The Price is Right's leaving to go to Sony.
Yeah,
We talked about that a couple
Yeah.
podcasts ago.
Yeah, we did.
It was always speculation, but now
we can
it's
confirm it.
now it's been confirmed. Cindy's confirmed it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
So-
saw that.
yeah, we don't know if he's directly working with Harry Friedman.
Right.
But we know that he's gone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mike, we look forward to seeing what you're able to bring us in the future.
All right, then. With that out of the way, let's quickly jump into this quick little round of Smash or Trash. We just found out about this, folks. That's why it wasn't at the beginning of the show. So it was literally just announced.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Literally, not 30 minutes ago. So we had no idea about this. Okay. Now, Woj, I know you're not a fan of reality shows, but filming Hell's Kitchen in Gordon's actual restaurant in Las Vegas, is this Smash or Trash for the
Well,
show?
Well, it sounds like a big step up since, I mean, it has perfect atmosphere. I mean, again, I haven't really looked into what it is, the actual restaurant it is that he has there. I know that's actually been the prize for several winners in the past. They've been the executive chef of restaurants in Las Vegas, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be doing like a big all-star edition for all his big chefs or another, fans versus favorites. I mean, it could definitely be a step up, and if that's the way he's going now, I hope he continues it. Since going back to the television studio in Los Angeles would be a step down quality-wise, and Mike Richards going to Sony. I know he's pretty much brought prices right into the 21st century since, he came in after Roger Dobkowitz was fired, and he pretty much was able to bring prices right into the modern age and basically making changes and adding theme weeks, new set designs to placate Drew and to give the Drew Carey era its own distinct flavor. And under his direction, the show has won 3 Emmys for Outstanding Game Show.
Now, didn't the show win Emmys even during the days of Barker?
Yes, many of them.
Yeah, the show won 5 Emmys for Outstanding Game Show in the Barker era.
But total, it's won how many?
Well, Bob won 14 Emmys for Outstanding Game Show Host.
Wow.
And I think that's the most from anybody.
The most for any host on television.
Did Bill Cullen ever win? Did Cullen win any?
Until a few years ago, the show that held the record for the most Emmy Award wins for game shows was Pyramid. It was surpassed by Jeopardy.
Yeah, Pyramid won 9 Emmys for Outstanding Game Show, and Jeopardy has won almost double that.
Now, did Clark win any for Outstanding Game Show Host?
He did.
He did, I think, win 3.
Wow.
No.
Many of and you got to remember, and here's the thing about that Dick Clark is backstage producing the Daytime Emmys, and they're announcing him the winner for Best Game Show Host. So go figure.
Yeah, it's an interesting coincidence. I remember when Press Your Luck at the time offered a trip to the Daytime Emmys as a prize. Bill Carruthers was producing the Daytime Emmys at that time.
Wow.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that prize stayed on the board so all 3 players could try to hit it.
Yes.
It did.
Did anyone actually win it?
No. Nobody won it.
Oh, sad.
The best part would have been to have lunch with Peter.
Yeah.
I think anybody would love. I think any game show fan would love to have lunch with Peter or any game show host.
Yeah,
Uh,
but Mike Richards, I know he worked for Sony a few times. He hosted GSN's Pyramid and GSN's Divided. So, and for him to essentially be a producer and for them and develop new games for them, I don't know if he'll be working on revivals of games of Sony products or developing new ones. But I think he has potential to bring any classic game show into the modern era, and maybe it could put it on with ABC's Fun and Games.
could be.
So I think
But
the sky's the limit for Mike Richards right now.
Okay, now Carla, to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys get the US version of Hell's Kitchen in Australia, but
No.
Hell's Kitchen
no,
now being filmed in Gordon's actual restaurant. Is this good or bad?
I think it's good, but surprisingly enough, we did have an actual one season of Hell's Kitchen here. They're all celebrities.
Oh, okay.
Ma-
Well, I
No,
think that's what
Marco
I think that's what the
Pierre
original was in the original UK show. It was celebrities cooking. When it came to
Yeah.
the US, it became a civilian contest.
now I would like now to. Sorry to cut. I would like to see them do Hell's Kitchen in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in the United Kingdom.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
You mean bring the U.S. contestants to the United Kingdom?
Now you'd have to have now there would be a problem with that because one winner of Hell's Kitchen earned the right to be his celebrity, to be his executive chef at one of his restaurants in the UK. Hey, she was denied a visa. In lieu of that, she was just awarded the $250,000 grand prize, which you get for being the show's champion.
Oh,
How
that's
now?
sad.
That's the question. How was she denied the visa?
Now, I
Do
don't know
we-
why she was denied the visa. I think she had some kind of a drug conviction between her winning the contest and her
Oh,
time that she had to report to London to accept the position.
Right. Or
man.
the time was so short that that they couldn't process the work visa.
Now, that's true. It could be that. All I know is that one. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you the name of the contestant in question.
But that should be some. They should try that again. Do it actually doing the entire show out there in London and everything.
Okay. It was season 7 winner Holly Ugill. She was refused a UK visa and so was awarded the $250,000 cash prize in
See
lieu
that-
of the job.
Right. Then from that they should have just offered the give her the money, but they should have just went to the runner up and given him the job to work out there in the United Kingdom.
I haven't seen that season, so I don't know if he would have been worthy of taking that position.
Right. But I would like to see them do something like that again, go over to do the entire season over in England and
But-
everything.
But ever since then, ever since that, the grand prize has always been from that point on, the grand prize has always been executive chef at one of Gordon's restaurants in the US.
Okay. Suppose I made it simple to do.
And I
it in
think
the
I've
US.
seen some of those chefs that do well either on that or on MasterChef help him out with the other show that he has, the 24 Hours to Hell and Back.
That's true. He has.
It's just a modified version of Kitchen Nightmares, which he needs to bring back.
Yes, he does. We'll agree with that.
Yes, that was a good show.
Now, Woj. Well, you've already talked about yeah, Mike Richards. I should say Carla. Mike Richards now working for Sony. Good or bad?
Well, in a sense, I think it is good. I think Price is Right might need some new flesh and blood to take over the show.
We'll send Mike Richards down to you guys in Australia. He can fix up the prices right down there.
No, but I'm not wearing this.
He needs to bring it back first.
I'm not wearing this.
Yes, he does.
What's Tanya talking about?
She said I've got to go to the doctor's today. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm not wearing this.
Anyway.
Where'd it come from?
Well, that's no. I think Mike Richards going over to Sony, he'll bring a lot of ideas to the table and everything. He's a good guy. From what we've seen with his work, he knows his stuff. He worked with the legendary Dick Clark, so he really knows what's going on out there in the business.
That's right. I think he was a producer one time on his talk show, The Other Half.
Yes, he was.
Right. So he's worked with the legendary Dick Clark, and he knows the business inside and out. So I'm willing to bet to see what Sony has locked
Cooked up
away
for
in the
him. Yeah.
right, or locked away in the Revival vault and everything. Do we know what shows Sony owns the rights to, or
Everything from Barry and Enright, Bob Stewart, and I think to some extent Heater Quigley.
so that's like Gambit, High Rollers?
Yeah, but it's basically split between Sony and MGM, which is basically is under Sony's ownership, ironically.
So it doesn't matter.
Right. Oh God, can you see them bringing back 21?
No, that's an NBC show.
Yeah, that's
But that's Barry and Enright.
well. Again, Barry and Enright, when they got caught in the quiz show scandals, they sold all of their shows to NBC. But when they did bring back Tic Tac Doe in the 70s, they bought it back from NBC, but they did not buy back 21.
Right. Maybe Sony could work with NBC and bring back 21.
Then again, 21 even when they had it on in 2000, which is the most honest version of the show, it was very gimmicked up to make it more millionaire-esque with its money ladder, its second chance. I mean, it's a good format. It's just never been done right in any of its three formats.
The one that tried to get it right was the Jim Lang pilot.
Right.
That got it right.
So what was the second chance being the lifeline and
Yeah,
everything?
that was essentially their answer to Phone a Friend.
Right. But I think in the Lang version, even if you got the question wrong, you still lost the points to it.
Yes.
But
I
you
mean,
can never go below 0.
And
Right.
in Maury Povich's version, that you just got strikes, which got a little confusing, especially as basically with keeping track of strikes and also a second chance giving you 2 strikes. That was unnecessarily complicated. But
Right.
then
I would
again,
have said, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. But then again, like I said, that came out when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was hot, and they also under the old prize structure where you game one won you $100,000 and then 200, 300, 400. They made it too easy to win big money on that show.
Yeah.
Right. What was the second prize ladder? I forgot.
They went from $25,000 to $1 million. I mean, and the most someone ever won was 6 games.
No
Right.
one ever played the $1 million game.
Nobody ever won the $1 million game.
Okay.
Right. Because you had the option to keep on going.
Yeah, but even if you bring it back, I mean, considering if you have the same kinds of questions that you asked in the 50s, I mean, nobody would be able to answer those 5-part questions correctly, especially considering how difficult they were.
No, I would keep it simple and go to multiple choice.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it would just be to ask maybe multiple choice questions for 1 to 10 points. I mean, something open-ended for 11, and then after 2 rounds, you stop the game, and then.
Right.
But then again, I mean, I know they don't want games to straddle over for multiple episodes, so I think that basically they should just do a tiebreaker question.
Right. It's a gray area with that show and everything.
Yeah.
And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, that is a topic that we here at Game Show Talking Fun are going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the infamous game show scandals of the 50s. It is a topic. It's probably going to be a a multi-part episode with that. If Dave,
Yeah,
with that, I think we're going to make that a multi-part episode.
it will be.
Yeah, considering,
So-
I mean, I think enough. They say that time heals wounds. I mean, considering that it's been this year will have been 60 years since the quiz show scandals broke out. So,
Right.
I mean, there's going to be several generations who, if they see a new version of 21 or $64,000 question, then they wouldn't know about it and would just accept it for what it is.
Right. And
If you watch the movie Quiz Show, then you'll know about it.
right. Directed by the great Robert Redford. Good cast in that one too.
Yeah, Best Picture nominee.
Yep.
It took until Slumdog Millionaire for a game show related movie to win Best Picture.
Right. Anyway,
We got about 10 minutes left, I think.
Right. No, we got about like
It's 8:50 right now.
Oh,
yeah, we got about 40 minutes left.
okay.
So
Sorry,
going
I thought
back,
we were doing an hour tonight.
nah.
Okay.
So going back to spin the wheel. Now, we got through the first 3 rounds. Now we get to round 4. And I think that round 4 is the round that breaks the game.
Yes, but mostly because you have the guardian angel, just like on Set for Life, has the ability to control what the contestant is doing, which basically, basically, it's almost like there's no game at all. The person on stage answering the questions is basically like the cursor on the screen, and the guardian angel is just controlling the player like a cursor or a control stick.
So how would you fix round 4?
Well, first of all, I think the guardian angel needs to go, and they need to bring back the questions there, since you're basically spinning for luck at that point.
Right.
I think they basically, as for each subsequent question they get, right, it's just question right, gain the money, question wrong,
Right.
lose the money. Although after each spin they have the option to opt out of the game, but there will be additional back to zero spaces added, but the rest of the values on the wheel will increase. I mean, and also there could actually be 3 questions, and also taking an idea from David earlier, I think for the 4th spin, that's when there's no questions, but the wheel becomes 50% back to zero and 50% multipliers.
Ooh.
Basically, the multipliers ranging from 2 to 10.
Now, do you also put cash on that too?
No, I would just have multipliers. Basically, you have a 50% chance of getting some kind of reward for it. So basically, there would be 24 back to zero spaces, and then the rest of the 24 is spread out between those about, I would say, maybe 6 doubles, 5 triples, 5 maybe 4 quadruples, 3 quintuples, etc. And then there would be 1 10 multiplier.
Okay. Now, how do you space out the back to zeros?
Well, again, I would see for 24, or I would have maybe 6 in each quad, or just maybe just do a split of money, multiplier back to zero in quadrants.
So kind of like a roulette wheel.
Yes.
And everything. Interesting. Now, with that, do you still give them the value? Like for the 14th question, you put the 1 million up there.
Yes.
For the 15th is the 2 million, and the 16th
is the 3 million.
Right.
Yeah, and then after that, the 16th question, that's when you have the option of doing the final spin and potentially getting that multiplier.
Right. But you give them that option. It's like saying, okay, no question here. Your decision is, do you want to go on and risk what you have to see if you get a multiplier, or do you walk away right now?
Yeah.
We'll find out the decision right after this. Stay tuned.
Oh.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, so basically I was thinking after each question in this round, they have the option to opt out of the game because, like I said, you would be increasing the back to zeros, but increasing the values at the same time until you get to the
Right.
final spin where there's no question, just the multipliers. I mean, but the way it is right now, basically, again, just like on Set for Life, when you have someone just controlling your fate, and I mean, and you're not even answering questions, you're just spinning for luck at that point. It basically nullifies everything you've done, as we've seen in the past couple episodes where contestants have reached $1 million only to leave with significantly less.
Now remind me, Woods, how does it work on the wall
Well,
with that?
on the wall, an offer is made based on how many questions they got right in the first round, plus any additional questions they got right during the main game. That's when the person has the option to sign the contract or tear it up.
If you
Right.
don't sign the
Again.
contract, you take your chances on the wall.
Yeah, basically, but you have no idea how well you answered the questions.
Right. You're not told if you're right or wrong.
Only the player outside knows if they're right or wrong.
Yes, it's the
Correct.
person in isolation has to decide whether or not to take the money.
Right. So I forgot. After that, then what? There's that one final drop or something?
No, after that, the contestant is brought out from isolation and reveals their choice.
All right. So so Woj, do you make it like a team game from round 2 onward, where you have both players? You eliminate the guardian angel, but do you have that player and a partner up there, or is it just solo for the entire game?
I mean, preferably a solo for the entire game.
Do you still have like that cheering section that's up there with them?
Yes. But I just wouldn't, cut to them for every single decision every 2 minutes.
Right. Now let's talk about the wheel. Let's talk about the wheel itself a little bit here. All right.
Okay.
What about it?
Let's talk about like the design of the wheel.
Well, it's
And
about
everything.
40 feet high. I think it's the biggest of all big wheels we've ever seen on a game show.
Right. Now the wedge typeface for displaying the dollar amounts is inspired by the way our currency looks.
Yeah, that typeface.
Yeah.
Of all Federal Reserve notes here on U.S. currency.
They're all green.
Yeah, it comes in different colors, like on the color of money.
Yep.
Now, get this. The wheel is so large, a structural engineer was commissioned to plan the execution of how to construct as well as the support devices on that.
Yeah, considering the fact that it's 48 monitors you have on there. I mean, I don't know how much it weighs, but I would imagine they need some kind of motor just to give the contestants a chance to spin it.
Right. So get this. This is from the Wikipedia page. The wheel, as well as the game, are not fixed to have a certain outcome. In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the FCC versus the American Broadcast Company that quiz shows were not a form of gambling, which paved the way for their introduction to television. In the years that followed, with the quiz show scandals tainted that, a formal subcommittee in 59 and 60 amended that. That, like we said, is a topic for another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Spin the Wheel, like all U.S. television quiz shows, are bound not to fix the game by leaking trivia questions or rigging the wheel.
Uh-huh.
So the show's producers scouted for a Good Samaritan type individuals to reward with a chance to earn up to $23 million per episode.
That's a lot of cheddar.
Right.
A lot of cheddar.
Yeah, this show and The Wall both look for Good Samaritan contestants.
Right. So at least The Wall is getting away from the traditional, as Cindy puts it, the NBC sob story.
We've heard too many of them.
Right. I mean, all in all, do you think the idea for the game works as a whole?
As a whole, go ahead.
I'd say yes, considering it. It moved at a very consistent pace. Nothing felt dragged out about it, and it could work in its simplicity, with just in terms of answering the questions and spinning the wheel. And I mean, considering that's usually what attracts people to most game shows.
Right.
I mean, even carnivals and casinos with their spinning wheels, and so basically, it has things you need for an engaging game show, and it has managed to avoid most of the traps that we've come to become tiresome of in recent years.
Right. Now, what about Dax himself? And everything. I'll start with Dave on this one. Dave, your thoughts on Dax as a host?
He's okay as a host, but I do agree with what Woj said a few weeks ago. He'd be better off as the host of Card Sharks.
Yeah. And I mean, what was your thought on Dax with hosting this game show?
I think he does a great job just in terms of just asking the questions, taking what the contestants are saying and making it bigger, making the audience care about the contestant to succeed. And
he cares about the contestant too.
Exactly. I mean, that's what you need, especially when you're selecting these good Samaritans to win these life-changing sums of money. And
right.
I mean, like, and I think this would have carried over to Card Sharks. And I mean, if he did host Card Sharks at ABC, I would have loved someone else who is really cares about people winning, and that's Andy Richter.
Right. Now, or would you go with? So let's say Dax did host Card Sharks. Who would you get to host this, Dave? Who would you put at the top of? I would say list your top 5 people that you would consider to host this type of game show. If you can.
I can't, because literally, as an okay as show as this is, I really don't see how it made it on the air.
Right.
So I really don't have any hosts to.
My choice would be to get like Mark L. Wahlberg to host this.
He's a good host.
The guy that did Russian Roulette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Temptation Island and The Moment of Truth for Fox.
Yeah.
Right.
So well, glad you brought up Temptation Island. In 2020, Temptation Island returns to the air on the USA Network.
Wow. And then also we got Love Island coming to CBS as well.
That's the show we've been seeing. We've seen that commercial at least 100 times the past couple of months. CBS is really beating it to death.
General manager said.
Well, what have we seen before with shows that have been on CBS?
I don't work
canceled.
I don't get paid for standing around being a GM.
Do we see that happening with Love Island?
Well, I mean, this show has succeeded internationally in the UK and Australia, so maybe this has the best chance considering its pedigree, but considering how heavily they've advertised it, and especially considering how they've cross-promoted it with Big Brother. I mean, especially with the fact that it was promoted by some past Big Brother house guests. I mean, and also considering it's also serving as their answer to any Bachelor spinoffs that ABC is doing. I mean, I still don't see good for this show at all.
CBS has struck out quite a few times this year as far as reality shows.
$1 Million Mile, gone,
Yeah.
came and gone.
Yep.
What was the other one, Woj, that you said that came and gone?
TKO,
TKO, come and gone.
Candy Crush, come and gone.
Yeah, that
And
wasn't much of a-
it crushed itself to death.
Yeah, and
Pretty
then I mean,
much.
Considering that show won the Waney Award and everything.
Eek.
yeah, who knows? I mean, CBS might repeat themselves by winning this year's Waney too.
That's something I like to. That gives me an idea, David. We got to talk to Cindy about that. We'll make a note about that after the podcast.
And also, I mean, the last time CBS brought a UK show to the US, it came as Hunted, come and gone.
Yeah.
I am.
What
That sounds
about
like
100 Ways to Leave a Game Show? Didn't they bring it to the US?
Do we even know who is going to be the host of Love Island?
Her name is Ariel something.
Winter?
Not Winter.
Not the one from Modern Family.
Yeah, I can quickly get her name.
I got it right here.
Ariel Vandenberg.
Right.
Ariel Vandenberg.
Okay.
She's an actress and a model. She was on the TV series Greek.
When does it start?
Tomorrow,
night.
and it goes for 5 weeks.
Now, how does the show work and everything?
Well, basically, they have 11 people starting on the island. They have to pair up with someone of the opposite sex, and
Oh boy!
And the person who is left behind without a partner is automatically eliminated. As time goes on, there will be challenges. There will be eliminations. Some of them the public votes. Other times the couples themselves will vote out a couple. I mean, there will be weeks where they have to switch partners, and then the last couple standing wins the money.
Oh wow!
Do we know what the grand prize is?
They haven't announced it. I know on the UK version, the top prize was £50,000.
Which was a lot of money in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see this offering more than $500,000.
Right.
Well, true.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Well, I know last night the Australian Ninja Warrior came back to our television last night, which was pretty good.
Yeah. So where is their Mount Midoriyama in Australia?
Well, I know now there's a twist to it this year. The one that gets the furthest wins $100,000, but if you do conquer Mount Midoriyama, you get $300,000. But there's another little twist. At the end, there's a warp wall, but there's a mega warp wall. If you make it up the top, you get $5,000 instantly.
Now we have that. In the United States too. But getting on top of that tall warp wall in the U.S. is worth $10,000 right there. And if you clear Mount Midoriyama, NBC cuts you a check for $1 million.
Now, did they ever fix that issue if two people make it up?
Yes, they did. They will. If two people make it up Mount Midoriyama, they will split the $1 million prize.
And that is because of the outcry with what happened when two people did make it up, I think,
Now,
right?
NBC did rectify that. They did give the guy that took the shortest time to get up the rope climb the $1 million, but they gave that runner-up $100,000.
Nice.
Okay, that's good. Now I'm looking at the page. I'm looking at the thing here, and Sasuke, as it's known in Japan, it is still going on right now. It's produced by the Tokyo Broadcasting System.
It's funny. The Australian Ninja Warrior is produced by the
It
Tokyo
is.
Broadcasting
It is still going on since September 27th, 1997.
Holy cow!
And still going on today.
Right. Brian would know a lot about that, and this is probably a topic that we will have to cover
Mm-hmm.
because of how popular the show is and everything. Because we know that after our Mount Midoriyama, they actually had the U.S. versus the world and everything. So they
Yes,
do
and
bring.
I
we
know
still have
because
that contest.
last
Yeah.
year Australia was on there and I think they came second.
I will start
Right.
working next the floor
Yep.
manager contest.
So, and Sasuke is going to be a topic that we will talk about
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Yes, it will.
Yep. Now, I know, Dave, you're probably not a fan of the show and everything, but would you be up for having that discussion about the show?
Oh, of course. I am a fan of it.
Oh, okay.
I am a fan of
Yeah, I haven't been watching this season. I know in our version, they've added another twist. I think they've added where two players have to compete now. But
what, bud?
now I'm just reading through the different obstacles, and this show is all around the world. Australia, Austria, China's got it. Denmark, France, Germany,
UK.
It's literally become an international sensation.
Yeah,
right?
'cause I like
Russia's got it. Right. Oh wow! Oh no, I thought that was somebody else. But and then they even had a junior version of it too. Remember?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
So that's going to be a topic for
Yes, Mom, and I
the for us to talk about
said yes.
as another topic. How it actually got started here in the United States to how it became what it is now and everything. So with that, I think we're going to close it out here because I think I think we fixed how how spin the wheel should be.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yeah, as much as we feel that it's a solid format, the way it is right now, it's broken.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Maybe they need to fix spin the wheel to prove the ratings.
Work when it.
Yeah,
Right.
improvement, not fix.
right.
Right. So until next time, I'm Scott, and joining me once again, Woj. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, nice to be here with people I consider true friends.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, my
And
friend.
yep. And we couldn't do the show without Dave, who actually started the show many, many moons ago. So we would not be here talking about game shows and such if it hadn't been for back then.
It started Thanksgiving weekend of 2006 is
Whoa.
when it all started.
Right. And Carla,
Although
always
you were there.
Yeah, I didn't come until later.
Yes, but you were there near the beginning.
I was.
I have some things.
And I'm practically new to this whole fun and games thing, but still, it's fun being.
Yeah, just to put it into perspective, when I first came to Game Show Talking Fun, I was a senior in high school.
I have some things I need you to.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was 17 years old.
I did not know that, Woj. You literally just told me that. I did not know you were a senior in high school when the show started.
What do
Yeah,
you expect? He's 29
No.
soon.
and also the fact that podcasts were brand new at the time.
Right? It was. People don't real.
And here I am.
At one time, this podcast was the #1 podcast devoted to the game show genre.
Whoa.
Yep. And we're trying to, we're still trying to be that podcast that, still talks about game shows, brings up, an interesting topic like this. Will, if we see a flaw with it, we might spend a whole episode talking about like what needs to be fixed with it. finding the loopholes in gameplay, fixing it up, like with what happened with Million Second Quiz and everything. With how Elliot's brother found a loophole in that and fixed that up and everything. So not only that are we going to sit here and, have our roundtable discussion about game shows, but we're also going to be playing games as well on here. And we have some nice stuff lined up for that. Hopefully, if the stars align and everything, we'll be able to bring back the game show Summer Olympics. So, that's always on the table. Every year we sit down and talk that out and everything. But until next time, I'm Scott Goldiner.
I'm Matt Wojcik.
I'm David Hammond.
And until next time, we'll see you more right here next week for more of Game Show Talk and Fun. Topic yet to come. And also in August, stay tuned because we're going to be coming back to the convention scene with our live shows as well. We're going to be doing Press Your Luck, High Rollers, Gambit, and Caesar's Challenge at Liberty City Anime Convention, August 9th through the 11th. So if you like to come down, you're in the New York, New Jersey area, and you like to come down and try to win some nice prizes, please come on down and see us there. And hopefully you get to come up on stage and play one of our games and win some nice goodies. So this is us coming back to the convention scene after a year of hiatus and replanning and retooling everything. So we have nice prizes this year as well. So hopefully we'll see you all there at the convention as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube and on the Facebook page. I know, like I said, we've been procrastinating on that, but we will get that updated as well with that. So until next time, we'll see you next week for more of Game Show Talk and Fun. Take care, everyone, and have a good night. Bye-bye.